Welcome, everyone. My name is Marvin Jenkins, and I'm the coordinator for the Women's Business Center for Maryland Capital Enterprises. And we are a nonprofit organization, and we assist women entrepreneurs who are either just getting started in their business or expanding their existing business. We service the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. We have offices in both Salisbury and Baltimore. And we offer a lot of everything's free, the educational programs, workshops that we offer. We have one-on-one counseling, consulting, as well as loan assistance. So anyway, we help with business plans and basically anything leading up to, starting a business. So without taking up any more time, I'm going to turn it over to Rosalind Davis, our expert in this field, and she does an amazing job of explaining all of this. So I hope all of you are ready to take in all this valuable information. Now I'll turn it over to Rosalind.
All right. Hey, thank you, Marvin. I appreciate that. Everyone, before we get started, I actually put the link to MDOT's online certification application in the chat. So if you want to, you can follow along if you already have an account. If not, you can just copy the link and have it ready for you after this training. But welcome, everyone, and thank you for today's webinar. It is on Maryland's Department of Transportation Business Certifications. This is part 2 of a 2-part workshop. So I'm Rosalind Davis. I am the president and CEO of Rhoda Business Solutions, a management consulting firm specializing in program and project management, strategic engagements, business administration, logistics operations, and organizational development, training services, and solutions. My company is certified as a woman, veteran, and minority-owned small business located here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Now, before I get too into it, I want to thank Maryland Capital Enterprise, the Women Business Center, Lisa Twilley, and Marvin Jenkins for providing this training platform. And also, I want to thank Ms. Kamalia Blunt of Lord and Tucker Management, because she is the one that made that connection between the Women's Business Center and myself. So thank you for that networking connection there, Kamalia. Now, here's my disclaimer before we get into the workshop. So the screenshots that you will see today in this presentation are actual screen captures from MDOT certification online application. But the views and opinions that are expressed during this webinar, these are the views of myself, and there are no way the views and opinions of the government or any other entity. Now, if you haven't done so already, in the top right of your corner of your Zoom screen, you might want to switch to the standard view to enhance your visibility of some of the application screenshots. Now, if anytime you have any questions, you can either raise your hand and Marvin will see them, because I probably will not see them, or you can come off mute and ask your question, or you can wait to the end. Okay, thank you. Now, moving along, this is the agenda for part 2. So I'm going to go through part 1, which included sections 1 through 4, but I'm just going to do a brief recap during this session. Now, here's one thing I also want to always stress is that to apply for MDOT certification is free. This is a free online application that is available to you. So you do not have to pay someone to do this work for you. It is a 4-step process. The first step is the application submission. The second step is investigation to include an on-site or a virtual visit and an interview. This is where MDOT will come out or do a virtual visit just to make sure that you are a valid business and that you actually have some type of office and structure and you have a business set up. And then the third step is evaluation to see if you meet the eligibility requirements. And then the last step is the determination. This is where you will get a decision letter via email, whether you have been approved or denied for the certification. This whole process takes about 3 to 4 months for MDOT to render a decision. So I would say just be patient. If you don't hear anything, it does take about 3 to 4 months. All right, for for section 1 through 4, this was covered during part 1, but I'm going to go through this a little bit. Section 1, basic is just your name, phone number, email address. Section 1, prior, this is where you determine which certification you were applying for. So there are checklists in the application where you can determine which one you want to apply for, or you can apply for your MBE, DBE, and SBE under one uniform certification application. That way you don't have to do it separately. And then your business profile. This is where you enter your North American Industry Classification Codes, or NAICS codes. This is how the government buys their services and their products. And then a number of type of employees, and then your gross business receipts. And your gross business receipts is going to be some mandatory information that you will need for section 1. And then relationships. This is the ownership, and it asks if you have any ownership in another business, if you're a subsidiary, or if there's another business that owns part of your business. This is where they want that information. And owner information. They want to know what year did you start your business, how much of it is owned by you. It could be 100%, it could be 51%, but whatever percent it is, that's what they're asking for. And then they want to know, how did you acquire the business? You know, did you buy it from someone else, or did you start it yourself? And then how much have you invested in the business? And then there's also a personal net worth form that must be completed and notarized. So just keep in mind, this is a form that has to be notarized, but it walks you through what information they're asking for as far as your personal net worth. And then your officers and board of directors. You can list yourself as the officer and the board of directors if you are a company of one. Management personnel, they're looking for your duties and responsibilities of members of your company. If you're a company of one, then you would just list yourself, but also they're going to ask for resumes when it comes down to the document section. Inventory, they're asking for business equipment and vehicles, not your personal vehicle, POVs. So business equipment and vehicles, for instance, it could be if you have a bread truck with your company logo on the side of the truck, that's what they're talking about. And then office space, if you have like a storefront that you are renting or leasing, that's what they're asking for in this particular, not necessarily a home office. Now your financials. This is your banking information and your sources of loans. So if you took out a loan to start your business, this is where they're asking for that information. If you just bootstrapping, meaning you're just using your personal funds, they're not asking for that information in this particular application. Now you want to make sure that whatever you list on your financials in section 1 through 4, that it also matches what you put on your personal net worth statement, because that is the statement that you will get notarized. And then licenses and contracts. So for instance, if you are a plumber or electrician, or you have some other trade, you will need to produce your licenses. And in contracts, they want your 3 largest contracts. And if none of those apply, then you would not enter that information. The good beauty about the MDOT certification application is that you can move around from section to section. You do not have to complete each section sequentially. Once you complete a section, as you can see here on the screen, all of these sections have been completed. You get the green check mark to let you know that all the information and or documents has been entered successfully. Now, airports concession, ACDBE. This section has 5 mandatory questions. So we're going to go through a review of these 5 questions because they're mandatory for the ACDBE certification. So it asks you if you are applying for the ACDBE, if you're doing supplies or goods. So this is at the airport, for instance, like at BWI. This is what they're referring to. And does your firm own or operate any off-airport location? And so you have to go through and answer all these questions because these are mandatory questions. If they don't apply, I will show you later in this workshop what do you do when something does not apply to you? Okay. Now, the last question, it's related to joint ventures. So if you have a joint venture, meaning you have a team that you have partnered up with, it could be one company, it could be multiple companies, but if you have a joint venture, then you would need to upload that information into this online application. Okay, now we're getting into part 2. Part 2 is all about the required documents. Here is a list of the required documents. So the first one, the affidavit of certification. This is a separate document that you will see in the application that it has to be printed off and it has to be notarized. Here's one way I would recommend is go through, get your application completed, and then go get both of those documents notarized at the same time, because you want to make sure that the information you enter into those 2 documents is accurate and that it matches your information that you have put in the online application, because you don't want to go back and make corrections and then you have to get a new notary. So based on your company structure, such as sole proprietorship, LLC, partnership, or corporation, you would download and review the applicable checklist. They're all there in the online application. So MDOT's preference is for all the applications to be electronically submitted via their online portal. So you can print them off, but they all have to be uploaded into their online portal. You can also see here that you need 3 to 5 years of your personal federal tax returns, and you need 5 years of business federal tax returns. And if you just started your company, I will show you what you need to do to show that some of these years may not apply because you just started your business. And so if you are certified in your home state as a DBE or ACDBE, you do not have to complete this application for other states. You want to make sure that you ask your state UCP about their interstate certification process, because there may be reciprocity across state lines. And so that will avoid you having to duplicate your application for another state. Any questions so far? Okay. So now we get into the mandatory documents that must be uploaded. There's another section of, if applicable, documents, but all these ones that we're about to talk about right now are mandatory. Okay, this slide here is showing the list of mandatory documents. Again, there are 2 that must be notarized before you can upload them in the portal. So you can download that link to that document and print and get those notarized. I am going to go through each of these. Okay, so your affidavit of certification, again, that's a notarized document. Your personal net worth is notarized. Better glasses. Each of these documents you can see here are mandatory, and we'll go through them more in detail. Okay. I won't belabor the point, but as you can see here, I've circled a couple of things that must be filled out, and it has to be notarized. This is a copy of what the personal net worth statement looks like. So I've circled down here at the bottom of this form, the net worth. So that particular number that is entered on this particular form, there's a section that was covered in part 1. You have to make sure that those numbers match. If they don't match, it's going to probably cause problems in your application being approved. Now for your personal and business taxes, they need a wet ink signature. So although you may do e-file, they still want a wet signature. So you will need to print off the applicable pages where you have your signature or your e-signature and do a wet signature. Now, do not sign and upload the form 8879. As I've shown here on the screen, I've X'd that out. They want just the 1040. Okay, proof of good standing. This is an annual filing that is due no later than 15th April of each year, and the cost is about $40. It's real quick and simple. It's like $20 for the application. $20 for the certification, and then also $20 just to expedite it. There is no way around it. You're like, I don't need expedite, but because they do it instant, and once you pay your money, you can download it right away. It's $40. So now here's some common reasons that a business is not in good standing, because you have to be in good standing in order to be approved for this certification. For instance, if you didn't file an annual report, or you have personal property tax returns that haven't been paid, and this is current and previous years as well. Let's say, for instance, if there's a monetary penalty resulting from late filing of your annual report or personal tax returns that you have not paid. And another reason is not having an active resident agents. So you don't have to have a resident agent, because you could be your own resident agent, but it must be listed in MDOT's application. And businesses can easily submit a resolution to change their resident agent online using Maryland Business Express. So for instance, if you used a third-party resident agent and now it's yourself, you can make that change within Maryland Business Express. So this is what a proof of good standing certificate looks like. So after you pay the $40 fee, you will automatically receive the certificate if your company is in good standing. So you'll be able to save that to your desktop and at the appropriate time, upload it into MDOT's application. More mandatory documents. So this is identification. This is proof of citizenship, and this list here is acceptable documentation. Your bank authorization form and signature card. It must have your bank name, business name, and the name of the person or persons that is authorized to sign checks. And you can have your bank just, if you don't already have this authorization form or signature card, you can just request this from your banking institution. Make sure that it's on their letterhead and it has your company name as registered with Maryland. Proof of contribution. So here's some examples of documents that you can upload as proof of contributions to your business. For instance, when you registered with the state, you can use that receipt. That good standing certificate that I showed you, you can also use that as well. A domain receipt. So if you went to perhaps GoDaddy and you purchased a domain name for your business, you can use that. Even an accounting system receipt. For instance, if you use QuickBooks, you can use that shows that your business is, that's your proof of contribution, that you're actually using an accounting system to keep your record keeping. Or you can use your IRS EIN, which is your employee ID number letter that you get from IRS as proof of contribution. Okay, resumes for all owners, officers of firm, and key personnel of the applicant firm. If you recall, if you were part of part one, it just kind of asks you to list the individuals. in the mandatory documents section is actually asking you to actually upload the resumes for each person that you listed in the upper half, which is just the questions. What I stress in part 1 is to make sure that the resumes that you upload has language that says where the individual, especially if you're the president, CEO, or founder, that you set policy and direction, you make purchasing decisions, you supervise field operations. Those 3 bullets right there were already listed in the on Maryland's online portal. So make sure that your resume says those 3 things. It can say a whole lot of other things. Make sure those things are included in your resume. And then they will ask you, if you list NAICS codes, let's say 541330, which is engineering services, they want to make sure that your resume has engineering services expertise listed in it. So whatever you saying that you want to sell to the government, make sure your resume complements it. Any questions so far?
None so far.
All right, moving along. Okay, year-end financial statements. So these documents do not have to be CPA generated. These could be, if you do your own taxes, it could be QuickBooks, it could be Excel, or some other form. But you do need these 3 particular financial statements: your balance sheet, your profit and loss statement, and then audited financial statements, if that applies to you. So if you ever went through IRS audit, they will need that as well. Articles of organization. This is where you get this from when you registered your business with Maryland. You would upload a copy that you received when you initially register your business. And then for the operating agreement, I would suggest Google a template. And here's listed here are some typical paragraphs. So this is not an exhaustive list of what you would typically see in an operating agreement, but it's something just to get you started. Just put down the name and principal place of your business. For instance, Rhoda Business Solutions, located in Anne Arundel County. What's my purpose? I do management consulting. Management, I'm the president and CEO. Books, records, and tax records. Books, I use QuickBooks for my bookkeeping. I do have my tax returns, and then dissolution, resolution. If I was to dissolve my business, how do I plan to do it? So just keep it real simple. Don't go over and above. They're just making sure that you have an operating agreement. Profit sharing. So for the purpose of this training, let's pretend you don't have any profit sharing agreements. So here's a sample of the information you can enter in a Word document. What's listed here on the screen, and then upload it. So for instance, if this does not apply to you, use a separate Word document and put your company name, principal place of business, the application number, and then put profit sharing agreement, not applicable, sign it, date it, and then upload it into the system. Okay, so now we're switching to, if applicable, documents. So this is what that screen will look like when you get to it. As you can see here on the left, I put in red the things that they're asking for. And then over to the right is, did you attach it or not? There is a way that when you check each box, for instance, licenses, if you get to the next one, if they don't apply, you would just check them. And then at the bottom of the screen, you click a lock button, and in that way, it will eliminate those ones that don't apply and only leave the ones that are applicable to your business. And those are the ones you would have to upload. And then once you do the lock screen, hit the refresh screen, and then you'll see where it has cleared out the ones that don't apply. So getting into the applicable documents. So again, if licenses, license renewal forms, and permits don't apply, then make sure you check that box that it doesn't apply. But if it do apply, upload the applicable information. Quarterly state unemployment tax wage report. If you just started your business this year, this may not apply to you. But if you've been in business a couple of years and you have employees, W-2s, then you would have this type of report. And then certifications, denials, or decertifications. This is where if you have applied for certification and you were denied, or you went for, or you've been decertified because of some information has changed and they have decertified you. Now, equipment and or vehicles owned, again, from section 4 in part 1, we talked about the inventory. Now, this is where you will actually upload the applicable documents. So for, again, equipment and vehicle inventory, they're not asking for POVs, only list company vehicles, such as vehicles that bear your company name, maybe a tow truck, for instance, and only enter purchase office space or lease space where you actually have agreement for either you purchase it or you're leasing it. And then storage space, if you have a warehouse for your business, that's what they're asking for here. Copies of the 3 largest job contracts. In part 1 section, we covered, you just listed the names of the contracts. Here they're asking for you to actually upload copies of those contracts. Here's another list of, if applicable, documents. So if you have trust agreements, you would upload it. If you have a business plan, you would upload it. But if you don't have a business plan, it's not mandatory, so you don't have to upload one. But I would caution you that if you do have a business plan, you want to make sure that it matches the information in your application, sort of like your organizational structure, your management team, your NAICS codes, which basically say what services and products that you're offering. So if you have it, upload it, but if you don't, there's no fault in if you don't upload it. But if you do, just make sure that all the information matches. And if you have a board, make sure you have some board meeting minutes, upload the meeting minutes. Now, they're not referring to staff meetings, but board of director meetings. And again, if you have any joint venture agreements with other companies, they're asking for the DBE applicants, then you would upload it there. And then the last one, any additional supporting documents that's not listed above. So if there's something that you want to submit as part of your application, you can do so at that time. I was asked a question during part 1. My opinion is if they don't ask for it, don't upload it. Less is better, because you don't want to give them more information to review that could hold up your application. So after you submit your application, expect some follow-on questions. For instance, if you list what services you offered, they're going to want to ask you, where did you get that experience from? And for that, you just complete a separate Word document. For instance, if you list 5 different service offerings, your NAICS codes, you could say, I gained this experience, here's where I gained it from. Or if it's in a degree or a license or something, that's what they're asking for. Now, after you have answered all the questions and uploaded the documents, now you're ready to sign and submit your application. And this is what that screen will look like. Once you've completed all those sections and documents, you can see everything is checkmarked as green. Now, under the receipt and processing section, to indicate that your application has been received and under review is where you would see that. So reminder that this whole process takes about 4 months for MDOT to go through your application. Now, some key takeaways. I always like to stress that this application is free. It's online. If you want to apply for MBE, DBE, and SBE, I recommend doing it at one time under the uniform certification application versus separately. We talked about the 4 steps. One being you submit your application. Second being they come out and do a site visit or a virtual visit. Third being they actually determine your eligibility. And then the 4th being they render a decision. Required information and documents. Remember, if there's information that's required, it will be in red. If there's documents that are required, again, it will be in red. And then the personal net worth in section 4 under majority owner information. During part 1, I talked about you can put like $1 there only to allow you to complete that section. But once you complete your personal net worth form, you want to make sure that that dollar figure that you have on that form matches section 4. And then you want to retain a copy of your completed application, perhaps on your desktop or a thumb drive or something. And my recommendation is once I went through the entire checklist, make sure that I had all those documents. I kind of created a folder on my desktop so that I can easily access those documents for uploading. So this kind of concludes this training. If you need some one-on-one coaching, you can go through the Maryland Capital Enterprise Women Business Center, and they can assist you with setting up that one-on-one coaching. But I want to again stress that this application process is free. Now with that, I will take any questions. Warren,
we have one in the chat right now. Is a single person sole proprietorship business required to provide an article of organization document?
Yes. Yes.
And then I think Anita's got her hand up.
Okay.
Yes, hi. Great information once again. So
thank you, Anita.
My background, I didn't realize I still had it up. So the MCE, is there a charge for the consultation there, or how do we tell us a little bit about that? Is there a fee for that to do a consultation?
Normally for maybe one session, and if necessary, a second session. If we get the right approval, we can. It wouldn't be any charge to you.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking, because my business has been in effect for 11 years. I started in North Carolina. I have and I'm set up here as a foreign entity in Maryland. I was working for a company doing all of their leadership and training, and I decided to branch back out into my own business. So some of that financial information, I don't really have. I was doing some contracts on the side, but I'm really not sure if Rosalind, if I would be filling out that financial documentation correctly. So that's kind of where that's really what my real question was about the financial documentation that you went over a few minutes ago.
So you were saying that you were doing some consulting for another company, but now you're back owning your own company, and it's your company, correct?
Yes, it's my company. I kept my company. My company started in 2011. A company in Maryland wanted me to come here and do all of their training and development. So I did that for 6 years, but I decided it was better for me because I thought I was going to be able to do both. And as an entrepreneur, we know we really can't do both. And so I decided to branch back out on my own. So I have very limited contracts. I have a couple of contracts that I was still working on, but they're very, very limited. I mean, very, very limited. So I don't know how that would look in my financial. So I'm not sure.
When you were doing that consultant work for the other company, you were doing it under your company name, but for
Yes.
someone else. So
Under
then
my company name.
okay, then that would be a contract. You know,
Okay.
a section where it asks for your 3 largest contracts. That would
Okay.
be there because that's under your business name.
Okay.
Okay.
But they were small contracts. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's going to knock me out of the, for getting the certification, or I just want to make sure that I'm filling it out once I go through the process. So I may need some help from the MCE.
Okay. I'll let you reach out to them first.
Yeah. If you reach out to us, we'll work something out for you.
So how do I reach out to you? Is there a link or what?
You can contact me. I'll be sending out an email with all this recording and all, and you can take my email from that and send it to me, and I'll see that you get some help.
And I did check out your information, Rosalind. So I definitely want to connect with you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any time you have to start the application? Because I lost my location. So it's like I can't use my home for the business address for this. And I need to correct certain things for my business standing. So is there any time I can start? Because right now, I believe I cannot. I need to fix those things missing in order for me to be able to complete this form.
Yeah. So don't start the application until you have fixed those things as far as your address and everything, because once you start, there's a time limit. You only have like 90 days or 120 days to complete your application. So if you start it and you don't get it completed, it's going to wipe out all your information. You're going to have to start.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing that there's probably no more questions, I want to thank everyone for joining me today, and also thank the Maryland Capital Enterprise for having me again for this training workshop. I invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn so that you can be the first one to know about any future webinars, because we are scheduling a SAM.gov, which is the System for Award Management. If you want to do business with the federal government, you have to be registered in SAM. And we have that training workshop coming up on December 5th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and the flyer and the registration link will be posted there.
All right. With that, I want to thank everybody for attending this session, and especially thank Rosalind for more really valuable information, and I think very easy to understand, and so we appreciate your help with that. And with that, I guess we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day.